From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
Now at 5:30, reducing the need for pain medication following surgery. One man is very happy with his results, and his doctor, that is, who is working to do his part to tackle a widespread problem in Indiana. And shining a light on the WRTV Toy Drive, we are off to a fantastic start, but we still need your help. Chris.
Topping our lineup, there has been an increase in risky driving during this pandemic, the behaviors that concern safety advocates the most. And families are taking some extreme measures to see their loved ones. Right now, we will tell you about a woman who got a job working in her mother's nursing home so she could be close by. And the holidays will also make the grief some families are feeling even more apparent. We have help for managing those feelings.
First at 5:30, as the COVID-19 pandemic continues, Indiana and the rest of the country are still dealing with another problem that's led to thousands of overdose deaths. WRTV's Kelsey Anderson has the story of how one doctor is fighting the problem of opioid addiction.
My bicep, I had surgery on here, and then my labrum he also replaced, which is here on the backside more.
Zach Martin had shoulder surgery about 4 weeks ago.
Most good.
Feeling amazing, honestly.
Pain's better.
Yeah. Pain's never been there.
He tells me he visited Dr. Brian Badman after having constant discomfort in his arm. And to his surprise, there wasn't much pain post-surgery.
My recovery has been awesome ever since. I've never had any real pain.
Saying he only needed to take pain medication for 1 day, and even then, it was just as a precaution.
I would never say there was any real pain to this.
Dr. Badman tells me that's because of a fairly new drug he uses during surgery called Exparol.
We showed that at 3 days, patients with Exparol block took on average about 9 less pain pills, which if you hear 9 less pain pills, you don't think that's a lot.
But Badman says it takes just 8 days for someone to become addicted to opioids. So 9 pills is significant to about 3 days without the drug.
I think it's huge. I mean, it's something we as clinicians, we need to do our part, because I think we partly contributed to some of the crisis that we're currently experiencing, and so we as physicians need to do something to lessen that burden.
As for Martin, he says he's glad his surgeon is working to ease the opioid crisis.
I think it's awesome. I mean, I think it's great to definitely help for the overuse, people getting addicted to these drugs. With the medicine they used for me during the surgery, I mean, this is a good way to combat that and start knocking out the drug use.
Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
A nice Monday evening in progress. Our coldest temperatures of the week are really tomorrow and on Wednesday. Then we'll turn the corner. It's a sharp turn, too, because Thursday will be much warmer. Love this. There's the orange glow over the buildings on campus at DePaul in Greencastle out in Putnam County. Temperatures will fall through the overnight. So a cold front sits to our north. That will represent more of a wind shift for us. It may bring some clouds sprinkled to northeast portions of the state, but it will allow colder air to flow into the state. And you can see the impact now, 44 in Fort Wayne, while it's 54 in Bloomington, nearly 60 down in Evansville. The cooler air will ooze to the south, but not for a little bit. The wind is out of the southwest now. The change in wind direction will open the door to the Canadian temperatures over the next couple of days. 40 degrees at noon tomorrow. It's after starting around the freezing mark. Afternoon high temperature again with decent amount of sunshine and gusts to about 20 miles per hour. Those will reach the lower 40s to the north. Logansport, Marion, you'll struggle around the 40-degree mark. Let's throw Kokomo in there as well. As we get to later in the week, that's where the warmer temperatures arrive. More on that coming up.
Learning more today about Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine. Not only is it proving more than 94% effective in late-stage trials, but it also does not require as cold of storage as Pfizer's vaccine. Now, Pfizer's shot also came in at more than 90% effective, but Moderna's can stay in temperatures about the same as your home's freezer for up to 6 months. Pfizer's requires temperatures 3.5 times colder than that. Now, both are 2 doses, which does add some distribution issues.
Once we have several of those vaccines, it's going to be tricky to track which patient did get what vaccination so they don't get that mixed up.
Now, while encouraged by early vaccine data, health experts say there is still a ways to go to get back before life gets back to normal. Operation Warp Speed, which is the government's operation, says their goal is to make the initial doses available by January, likely first to healthcare workers, nursing homes, first responders, and those with some high-risk health conditions. Now, that puts the availability for more of the general population later into 2021. That is according to Dr. Anthony Fauci. Now, while Pfizer and Moderna are the farthest ahead in research, it doesn't mean that they will be the only ones you see.
So if you can get a vaccine out there that actually requires only one dose, it could quickly overtake the market.
Health experts are also encouraged by the multiple different trials going on because of safety.
We have a lot of people in the world we need to vaccinate. They're in different countries under different criteria. And you always run the risk that there's something in the Pfizer vaccine that someone's allergic to that isn't in the Moderna vaccine or isn't in the other vaccine.
We think there should be at least a 6 months follow-up before the vaccine gets any sort of approval. And they considering emergency use authorization, which we think is a bad idea if you go with only 2 months of follow-up data.
Now, one question that really hasn't been answered yet is how will the vaccine stand up to the newly infected?
So if you're turning positive today, we know you were exposed to somebody that had COVID, and we vaccinate you today, will that actually prevent you from developing severe disease?
Merck is another U.S.-based pharmaceutical company working on a single-dose vaccine. It is in early testing stages overseas. Meanwhile, President-elect Joe Biden's scientific advisors plan to meet with vaccine makers in a matter of days. Now, that is according to Biden's chief of staff, who said they want to make sure that nothing drops during the change of administration. Now, next in our lineup, there has been an increase in risky driving during this pandemic, the behaviors that are concerning safety advocates the most.
It's been a difficult year for fans of all sports. You can't attend, some you can attend. Well, the Colts are already planning for next season when it's hoped Lucas Oil Stadium will return to capacity. Colts season tickets are now on sale for the 2021 season as of today. You can learn more by going to colts.com/tickets.
Even though there's still less traffic on the roads because of the pandemic, risky behavior behind the wheel is up. Now, already 1/3 of all roadway deaths are speed related. That's increased along with impaired driving and accidents where people are ejected. And when you read into that, it means that people are not wearing seatbelts.
You know, that just defies logic to me. You know, when you talk to people, they say, oh, yeah, everybody wears seatbelts. But when we look at our fatalities that are happening on our roadways, we know that half of the people who die in motor vehicle crashes are not properly restrained.
The Governor's Highway Safety Association met last week on pandemic speeding. They say there is a shift in understanding challenges to get people to slow down and more of an acceptance in using technology like cameras.
We can't put officers on every road, and we have to leverage, technologies and resources that are going to help us to really get folks to change their behavior.
Currently, more than 20 states have laws or city ordinances allowing speed cameras, but there are 8 that have banned them outright. Speed cameras are mainly used in places where traffic deaths or injuries are more likely. For instance, in construction and school zones. The city of Baltimore just reported a 10% increase in tickets from speed cameras, and they are on track for a record year. Law enforcement officers are also back in full force.
And there's very strong messages being sent. You need to slow down. We're going to find you. We will stop you.
Impaired driving is also up, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. That includes alcohol, marijuana, and other drugs. The GHSA and Lyft just awarded 5 states with thousands of dollars in grants and ride credits to help prevent impaired driving over the holiday season. Now, still ahead in our lineup, families are taking some extreme measures to see their loved ones. We will tell you about the woman who got a job working in her mother's nursing home so she could be close by. Unite us by exposing us to our differences. That was one man's goal as he rode his bike across the country. Usher Qureshi met up with him to talk about this unique project.
Geared up and ready to ride, Seth Gottesdiener recently embarked on a cross-country odyssey.
It's my preferred method of transportation, and I find it really meditative, and it's one of my favorite things to do athletically outdoors.
The 33-year-old social justice activist mounted his two-wheeler back in late September for what he called the Great American Bike Ride.
I thought, why don't I bike across America and talk to people, talk to just denizens of the country and see where they're at and see how this year has affected them and, you know, their opinions.
The 45-day journey began in Los Angeles. His plan to pedal his way through 22 cities and 13 states, concluding his expedition in the nation's capital on Election Day.
Truthfully, I was not prepared for the Great Southwest. It was very intense. It was very unrelenting. The heat was over 100 degrees a lot of the days. Giant mountains, really, really dry.
All along the way, Seth met with Americans from all walks of life, interviewing them as part of a feature documentary.
I want people to hear voices that they would have never come encounter with on their own. I want to connect Americans together.
The ride also took him on a journey of self-discovery.
And then there was parts of the country that I hadn't ever seen before, like Arkansas, like Kentucky, and a lot of Tennessee, and it was beautiful.
It was also an opportunity, he says, to gain a better understanding of fellow citizens bitterly divided by politics. He hopes the journey reminds one another of the human spirit that connects us all.
Be there for each other, help each other, pull each other up by the bootstraps, rather than be so divided as we've seen this year. One of the questions that I asked, if there's one thing you could say to all Americans right now, what would it be?
He knows what he would say.
I would just say, listen.
In Chicago, I'm Usher Qureshi.
Usher, thank you. Now, the United States Postal Service is trying to help kids and families during the holidays, so it's opening up its Operation Santa program nationwide. It helps give children and families gifts and basic necessities. Now, if you'd like to sign up, you can write a letter addressed to the big man himself, Santa Claus. You see his address right here on your screen, and you may want to take a picture of it on your phone so you remember 123 Elf Road in the North Pole. Would be a pretty easy address to remember, though. 88888. If you are requesting clothes, do make sure you include sizes. Now, a lot of families will probably be doing video calls on Thanksgiving, so Zoom is extending its 40-minute limit on free calls that day. The lift will last all Thanksgiving Day.
The 20th annual WRTV Toy Drive is off to a great start thanks to you. We kicked off this year's effort Saturday night at the Christmas Nights of Lights at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. $1 from every ticket sold that night goes to the toy drive. We raised $3,500. There are still many opportunities for you to donate to help a Central Indiana child in need this Christmas. And because of the pandemic, we will not be collecting toys here at the station, but we are taking your donations of new unwrapped toys at several used store locations. You'll find a list on our website at WRTV.com/toy drive. We will also be collecting toys at Indianapolis area Simon Malls on December 5th. The complete list is also on the website. You can also make a financial donation through the website. The 20th annual Toy Drive is a fund of the Scripps Howard Foundation. 100% of the contributions are used to help the local Central Indiana community. What a start, Kevin, and I know you were there.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, Friday night was a great night, and Saturday night some $3,500, which represents at least 3,500 cars. Let me just say this, the cash that's donated is spent very wisely and strategically, because as we get through the donations of toys, we find out where the need is. It might be with 12-year-old girls, 14-year-old boys, and then you go and target and kind of get specific gifts for different age groups. So thank you. All right, beautiful. I love just having a few clouds around. That kind of tells the story of the evening as our temperatures tonight go into the low 30s. But the coldest night will be tomorrow night into Wednesday. 52 in Muncie, but look at you in Peru, 47 degrees. Temperatures around the metro area, all in the low 50s for now. Let's talk about the morning. When you wake up, temperatures lower 30s. We'll have plenty of sunshine. Overnight, it will still be windy because a cold front will come through. Maybe a few more clouds and that wind out of the northwest, but these are your headlines for Tuesday. Below average temperatures, lots of sunshine around, and that cold northwest wind gusting to 20 miles per hour at times. Move the ball forward. Wednesday, temperatures still in the 40s, but we nudge up just a little bit into the middle to upper 40s. The wind won't be quite as strong, but will still gust to 20 miles per hour. And then it happens quickly. Changes within 24 hours up to 62 on Thursday. And we'll end the work week with a 63-degree high temperature. A cool start, but a warm finish and dry throughout. That is a nice forecast.
Nursing homes across this country still remain on lockdown in many states. As cases rise, seniors are being robbed of the opportunity to visit family members. But Chris Conti shows us how some people are getting creative when it comes to seeing their family.
Cut off from the world, seniors in nursing homes across the country are suffering in solitude.
They're dying of broken hearts. They're dying of abandonment.
MJ Ryan's mother, Teresa, ended up at the Friendly Place nursing home last year. Alzheimer's was slowly stealing away this dedicated grandmother, football fan, and casino lover. Teresa was doing okay until COVID hit. Visitors were not allowed in, and Teresa was not allowed out.
She wanted to get out of those walls, and I said that we couldn't because there's a virus, and I explained it to her, and she said, well, then what's the difference? This is a slow death. And that's honestly what it is.
This is happening to seniors all over the country. Their mental and physical health declining rapidly because of the isolation brought on by COVID. MJ Ryan knew she had to do something, so she got a job working the laundry room in her mom's nursing home.
It's amazing how much laundry goes down in a fairly small nursing home.
Once a week, MJ would work an 8-hour shift doing laundry. Her breaks would allow her to check up on her mom.
She didn't have a lot of concept of time and space, but I wanted her to know that we weren't gone.
Nursing homes across the country are facing severe staffing shortages, so the help was more than welcome. And it's not just MJ. Others across the country are taking jobs in nursing homes to see their parents.
There's so many things that go on in the nursing home that people could do that are necessary for the care of residents.
MJ Ryan is a senior director for a healthcare company. She makes 6 figures, but the time she was able to spend with her mom making minimum wage was priceless. When Teresa passed away last week from Alzheimer's, MJ was there.
Now I live with the sadness of losing her, which everyone does at some point, but I don't live with regret.
What more could any parent ask for? I'm Chris Conti.
All right, Chris, thank you. Now, MJ is remaining on call to help whenever the nursing home is short-staffed, even though her mother is no longer there. Instead of flowers at Teresa Ryan's funeral service, people were asked to donate to an emergency fund the family started for frontline workers at the home. Nearly 2/3 of seniors in the U.S. deal with depression and will not seek treatment. Those are the latest findings from a survey by GeneSight Mental Health Monitor. Researchers found about 1/3 of seniors think they can snap out of depression on their own. Experts say depression is still a taboo topic among older adults, and doctors emphasize that depression is an illness that can and should be treated. Now, it turns out video games may actually be good for your mental health. Researchers at Oxford University surveyed people who played 2 games, Plants vs. Zombies and Animal Crossing. They found that playing the games created a small but significant factor in players' well-being. They also said the level of enjoyment is more important than the amount of time spent playing. U.S. colleges and universities have lost a record number of international students. This is according to a survey by the Institute of International Education. The number of international students fell by 43% this fall semester. Now, that is the largest decrease since the Institute started collecting data in 1954. Experts say visa rules have become more limited over the years, but the pandemic is really what drove this drop. Wearing a mask while playing a brass or a woodwind instrument sounds nearly impossible, right? But one woman made it happen. Look, she created what are called melody masks. Debbie Parker designed them with an adjustable nose bridge and adjustable ear loops for comfort. It's structured so it comes away from the face, giving it more airflow.
And the singer's mask, that center section that's basically capturing any particles, there's a 3rd layer in there that provides structure as well as another barrier layer.
While the masks follow recommendations from the CDC, the risk of spread still exists. All right, let's get back to our lineup here. The holidays will also make the grief some families are feeling even more apparent, so we have help when it comes to managing those feelings. Many families have either lost a loved one to COVID-19 or know someone who has. A psychologist tells us that it will be difficult to deal with those empty seats during the holidays.
Those are times when we normally traditionally gather, when we think about and spend time with the people that we love. So it's an even more poignant reminder that that person is not there.
That grief may be made more difficult if safety precautions prevented you from being with a loved one before they died, or you didn't get to heal with mourning rituals or funerals like you typically would. For some, there may also be an added layer of survivor's guilt.
To get through that, we have to sit with our loss. We have to acknowledge it and recognize that it's real. We also have to recognize and give ourselves credit for making the best choices we could with the information we had at the time.
Now, it can help to plan ways to celebrate that honor holiday traditions that you had with the person that you lost. And for kids, let them know it's okay to be sad. But remember the good things about the person who's no longer there and share in the moments you know would make them happy. Staying connected is also critical, so video calls while physical distancing become even more important.
Trying to think about ways to make it meaningful, to make that connection feel present and helpful will be really important for individuals who are grieving right now.
Also focus on what you can look forward to during the holidays, and remember, it is okay to have fun while you're missing someone. Plasma is in short supply right now, as much of it from recovered coronavirus patients is being used to help those still sick with COVID. Tomorrow, why others who need regular plasma infusions for different diseases are worried there will not be enough for their needs.
There's the temperature trend revealed down here next 2 days, and then look at how quickly we climb the hill to temperatures about 10 degrees above average. That will get us to the weekend. We'll talk about getting through the weekend in the next half hour. That's all for the news at 5:30. The news at 6.